But back to Randy. I like this guy. He's pretty cool. He set a deadfall trap, and what frustrated me, and I don't know if he did or not. Again, I'm sitting here looking at the TV screen. But one thing that kind of frustrated me a little bit was I don't know if he set multiple traps. I think according to the video, it looked like he just set one. That's a deadfall, and they're effective. But again, you know, they're effective in numbers. So I'm not here telling him how to do his stuff. I'm just saying I would have, as a viewer, as a fellow survivalist, I would have hoped to have seen him set, you know, maybe half a dozen traps or something like that. So now let's move forward. Let's go to day 6. Now let's go to Mike again. Mike Lowe. So his gill net was successful. He caught 3 fish. What a blessing. I mean, when you're in a survival situation and you catch 3 fish, one of them was a small halibut, I think he said. That's amazing. That is a gift from God right there in a survival. So that's protein, that's meat, that's survival, that's everything that you need. So he caught 3 fish and he cooked them. And this is where I got confused. He cooked them and then he buried the meat. He ate some and then he buried the rest of the meat, which the way he did it was smart. But the thought ran through my mind, why didn't he jerk the meat? If you cook the meat, it doesn't last but 2 or 3 days, but if you jerk the meat, it'll last 2 or 3 weeks. So I was thinking, man, why couldn't he make it more sustainable? Again, I'm being an armchair quarterback. I don't know what the variables were. I don't know, you know, why he didn't choose to do that. Maybe he didn't think of doing that. But that would have been interesting to see him jerk the meat, in my opinion. Then he could have hung it up high, keep it away from bears. Because now that it's buried, you know, and bears, their noses are so sensitive, they can easily go out and you know, dig stuff up that they smell. And I'm afraid that they're going to find his meat. I don't know. Maybe, maybe not. Let's go back to Randy. He came back, okay, day 6. He noticed that his deadfall trap was tripped, but it was empty. And then he talked about setting his net. So he's on the right thought process. He's talking about setting his net. Again, it comes back to his trap was tripped. That means there's some activity there, which again, you know, I kind of would have hoped to seen him set multiple traps, because I think that would have raised his chance at success. You know, the more you got, the more chance you got. It's like putting your entry into my contest. If you're just doing a typed comment, you get 1. You do a VR, you get 5. If you do both, you get 6. So it's going to be a drawing. You want to heighten your chances, right? That's the way I see it. Now let's go to Mary Kate again. She made a door for her shelter. She took a bunch of ferns and to try to keep the heat in the shelter. But one thing that concerned me was the top of the shelter towards the pitch of the frame of the pitch up there. There was an opening, which was cool, but heat rises and I'm afraid the heat will come out. So I think the concept was good because it'll stop her shelter from getting heat loss through convection. It'll stop that wind from coming in, which is great. But I'm still thinking that heat might still escape. Maybe she'll fix that. I don't know. I'm not here to judge anybody. I'm just here to talk about what I'm seeing and give it a fair shake. And so now we're on day 6. Let's talk about another character that was introduced to the show. We're talking about David McIntyre. This guy, I like this guy. He's a fellow Christian, and I'm not trying to bring up religion in the video, but I'm a Christian, he's a Christian, so we can relate on that aspect. I thought that was cool. He's also a divorced man. I am too. I got divorced in 2012, so I feel the pain there. He has 3 kids. It looks like he's a single parent father. He's got 2 daughters, I believe, and a son. It looks like he's a great father. I kind of share that. I have 1 daughter. I'm a single parent father, so I can kind of relate to him on this. I like the guy. I think he's got some skill. I think he's demonstrating a lot of faith, and I think this is cool. And so what did he do? He went out and he set, let me back up. He found some rope, and he used that rope to set a trout line. And that was smart. A trout line, for those of you who might not be familiar with that, that's where they take like one line and it has multiple hooks on it. So you have like I was talking about Randy earlier, he set one trap from what I can see. And I was asking, it would have been nice to see him set multiples. That's what a trout line is. It's one line, but it has multiple hooks on it. So I thought David made a smart decision in setting a trout line. I thought that was pretty cool. Now let's move forward to day 7. Back to David again. He checks his his trout line, and there's nothing on the hook. Nothing. And that's... you got to remember, people, if you're sitting here viewing the video, you got to remember they've been out here 7 days already. So hunger is definitely coming into play. I mean, I know that one of the 10 items, I believe, don't quote me, but I believe that one of the 10 items that you can take with you, I think one of those items can be food. I think. I could be wrong. But so in either case, we're not getting the calories out there that we should be getting. The calories that our body is used to receiving on a daily basis, we're not out there getting those calories. So to go check your trout line and to find that it's empty, and I think some of the hooks were missing or something like that, if I remember correctly watching the show. I watched it last night. I was really tired, but that would be pretty demoralizing. As far as for me, it would bother me. I'd be like, dang, man, I come out here and I work hard and I set this line and I don't have nothing. I'd have been frustrated. But that's not going to make him quit, I don't think. Let's go back to Randy. Day 7. He lost his ferrocerium rod. Dude, really? Come on, man. I'm not trying to knock you, but how do you lose your ferro rod, man? That's crazy. Me personally, I'm not here to judge him, but if I'm in a survival situation, I'm going to keep that thing close, man. That's my livelihood. That's my survival. That's my water purification. That's my heat. That's my cooking. That's my deter animals. And I look at that, and that's my entertainment. That's my morale booster. That's everything. How do you lose your ferro rod? But let me give him credit where credit's due. He was smart. He went back and looked at the footage that he filmed when he was making his fire, and he saw his ferro rod rolling down into the fire pit. Smart. Smart to go back and look at the video, because sometimes, I don't know if I would have thought to do that, honestly. That was smart. Last year on season 1 of Alone, there was a guy that lost his ferro rod and he just flat quit. And so with Randy, I'm hoping to see him attempt friction fire. And I think he's gonna, because somewhere, I can't remember where I saw it, but somewhere I saw somebody cranking on a bow drill set, and I'm thinking that was him. And that's going to be difficult to get friction fire, especially up in a humid area where everything's wet, and it's going to be difficult. Friction fire is hard enough to begin with, and now you're going to add all this extra element to it. In fact, I remember looking at that clip when I saw the friction fire guy, and I'm thinking it's Randy, because he's the only one that lost his fire making ability. It was definitely a man. I'm thinking it's Randy. He had several holes in his hearth, which that's to be expected because the conditions are not ideal by any means for friction fire in that environment. So, yeah, which goes to show a lot about his character. I think, he's going to dig deep and he's going to try and I'm hoping that he had success getting an ember, because friction fire is tough sometimes. And it definitely messes with you mentally, because sometimes you'll be working on that friction fire and you'll get an ember right away if you have the right conditions. And then other times you'll have the perfect set and everything, and you'll try and you won't get an ember. So I'm just hoping and praying that he gets a fire. I have faith in him. I have faith that Randy's going to get a fire. Now, Mary Kate, excuse me. We're still on day 7, and it shows that she's in her shelter, and she's showing a picture of her daughters. She's a very proud mother. She loves her kids, single parent mother. I don't know what the circumstances were, but she has her daughter, one daughter on one side, and then the other daughter on the other side. And every day she said she flips it over, and you know, that's interesting, because that could be motivation, or it could also be desire to leave. You know, if she's getting out there long enough and she constantly reminded about her children, that could be used again as something to push her through this, or it could push her away and go home. You know, if you think about war and you think about soldiers and you think about what kept them alive, you know, prisoners of war and things like that, it was a thought of someone that they loved. You know, they didn't lose hope. So, and then other people, they left and quit because they missed their kids. So that's the first glimpse that I'm getting, that this could be what brings her down. Maybe, I don't know. I think she still has mental toughness that we haven't seen, and it's definitely going to be tested, and I'll talk about that here in a minute. She was in her wood shelter where her fire was. She was splitting wood and getting some firewood ready, and she cut her hand with her axe. Mary Kate. I understand what happened. At least I can kind of give you my 2 cents on what I believe happened. She's out there trying to survive, for one. And not only is she doing that, but she's got this monumental task of trying to document it. Okay, so she's out here trying to look at the screen to see, am I in the frame? And so she's so, instead of having all of her focus on the survival task at hand, which was splitting the wood, she's now got this added task of filming.